Hi, I'm Victoria. I am in LA and I'm a pig.
Hi, I'm Siddharth. I'm in New York and I'm a sheep.
And we want to invite you to the global Hox Zodiac quarantine dinner on Earth Day, April 22nd at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. wherever you are, local time, in whatever language you speak, in whatever time you want to spend, to whatever food you want to serve as an offering. A little bit about the project now. This is something that Siddharth and I started 12 years ago, and that journey took us from a very technological idea of how we would talk about the Hox gene and to think about the project to engage people in this. I came up with an idea to use the Chinese zodiac. Why? Because my daughter moved to China at that point. I was aware of Chinese culture that so many others are not, and all consumerism is around Chinese production. So it became an interesting way to engage people. And at first, it was purely through computers. We slowly started realizing that actually animals are so much food around the world and laboratory experiments and companions. Why don't we sit at the table and talk and not have so much technology interactive stuff going on? And eventually, I developed it quite a bit when I was invited to be artist in residence in Angewandte at the University of Applied Arts in Vienna. And towards the end of this cycle, both Siddharth and I were in residence at the Leonardo House in Paris, which was absolutely wonderful. And now we're at 12 years, the year of the rat, and it's a full circle. The new year brought us the coronavirus, and we all came to a full stop. So we wanted to celebrate the Earth Day with you.
The project evolved around the concept of Hox genes. And this is a really fascinating concept because when we look around us, we see all these different animals which look so different from each other. You have elephants with large trunks, you have snakes with long, sinuous bodies, and you have flies with wings. But underneath it all of us have this set of genes called the Hox genes that control your body plan. And that's what makes you have two hands and 2 feet and one head, or a fly have wings. And scientists now can manipulate these genes really easily in the lab to create flies with two heads or snakes with legs and so on. And this project becomes more relevant now because we are dealing with a lot of different diseases, and animals are in laboratories helping us solve these issues of different diseases. Also, animals serve as hosts for a lot of these parasites and viruses that we are susceptible to. So it is high time we as humans realize that we are animals living on this planet, and we have to relate to the animals and relate to the ecosystem and come together to solve all these issues that the planet is facing. So in that way, I think our project has become very relevant in this current circumstance, which is one reason why we want to invite you all to this dinner and share your experiences with us in this Hawks dinner.
And the reason we're doing this at such short notice is because it's Earth Day coming up. And we talked about how it's made us feel uneasy seeing dinner parties and cocktail parties online uh, as if people are disconnected from so much suffering that's going on with the animals, with the people sick with this horrible virus and people dying. And thought, well, maybe we can share this project now because it's been 50 years since Earth Day was established. If you think back, that's the very first time that people saw themselves on a planet, and we think it's so important to think of ourselves as planetary citizens. And we want to have you join us because now we're actually stuck and we can talk to each other, funnily enough, in a technological way. So please join us April 22nd, 7 p.m., wherever you are in whatever language you speak.
Hello, everyone. My name is Monica. I am a rat, a wood rat, and I've been thinking quite a lot about rats lately because I'm actually, the work that I'm doing for my thesis, I'm studying the plague quite a bit, and talismans and charms and traditions and spells and things that everyone were looking at during the Black Death and the Great Plague and all of these plagues that have ravished Europe, actually much more significantly than this one. And something that came up in my research was the Rat King. It's not very appetizing, but the Rat King is a phenomenon that some people have called a myth or something that was made up by people, but essentially it's when many rats get tangled together and their tails get tangled together and then they become this one big beast. And people thought that if you found a rat king, it was an omen of death and you were to die of the plague immediately or the plague would come to your town. So only, I think, 60 rat kings in total have been documented over the last 600 years, and there's several in museums all pickled in formaldehyde all over Europe. But I think that maybe there's just not so many because no one really wanted to celebrate an omen of death or save it. But now we're in the age of YouTube, and you can find plenty of videos of not only rat kings in houses in suburbia, but you can also find videos of squirrel kings. And they think that the ways that the tails got connected and stuck together is either the food got on the tails or blood or feces or something like that. And the tails of rats are actually quite grippy because they can use them to climb and get down and up into things. So the tails would get coated in something and then they would all burrow together to keep warm during the winter, and their tails would get knotted and stuck. So it's not very appetizing. But I thought it was also interesting, not only because of what we're dealing with right now, because it's an omen of this together. You know, that the rat kings would die because they couldn't all communicate to get food and to feed the whole, all of them stuck together. They were one mass with too many brains. But now in society, we're all connected very much to us. There's nothing can happen on this planet that's not connected to someone else. So I think that this is an apt metaphor in a couple of ways. What would you say?
Connection. What's the actual connection is?
Did anyone hear what I said?
I'm a rat. My name is Claire Fargo. I'm an art historian living in LA. I worked with Victoria on a Leonardo-ish project a few months ago and really loved it. My dish is lentil soup because when I looked up rats, that lentils and carrots and onions and other vegetables seemed like what they like to eat. The really Chinese herbs, I couldn't identify anything out of that, so I would need more professional help to do that. But it seemed like a good dish to do, and I paired it with some chickpea pancakes and some gyozas and little quiche sort of things. And I was thinking about being vegetarian in these days, especially when the food chain supply is about to be disrupted and rats in their natural environment are vegetarians. And I'm a professor emeritus at the University of Colorado Boulder.
I do have a story about the rats.
Of course you do.
Okay, so we sleep outside. We sleep outside for many years. We have a bedroom inside, but we sleep in this.
Yes, beautiful.
Outside. But before, we just had a bed in the garden, and there was a wire that went over it. And while I was laying in bed at night, I would watch the rats run across the wire, right across the bed. Right across the bed. So to solve this problem, because I didn't really enjoy the rats running over me, over the bed. So Richard put a pie plate on one side, an aluminum pie plate. And we had a big argument because it was like, why don't you put the pie plate on the other side too? Because what is the rat going to do? He's going to run down to the pie plate and say, hey, I have to back up now, and like run down the wire the other way. But in the end, the rats have become somewhat of our friends. The last time I had a rat in the house, it needed a vest and a hat because it was like just lumbering down the hallway.
So I have made salad. It's a combination of sprouts. It's got bell peppers, onions, pumpkin seeds, melon seeds, and then I've topped it with vengaya vattal, which I made from scratch, and potato vattal, which I made from scratch. So this is courtesy of the lockdown. I've actually tried things I've never tried before, and using the hot sun in Chennai right now, tried my hand at making some vattal. So
So all of us should go and say,
But I'm going to tell a story about a cow because it's more related to me. And I'm going to tell the story of the time that a cow shut down my entire high school. So this was when I lived in a tiny rural town in middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. It's a town called Lidditz, Pennsylvania. It has maybe 9,000 people, maybe. Not very many people at all, like pretty close to Amish country. And this was a few years before I even attended, but the teachers still told the story because they thought it was funny. One year there was these group of boys who were doing their senior prank for their whole graduating senior class. And their idea for their prank was, oh, we'll wake up really, really early, like 5 a.m. We'll steal a cow. We'll take the cow and lead it into the school building, walk it up to the 3rd floor, and then just set the cow loose in the school. And then teachers started coming to school and they're like, why is there just a cow roaming around? We got to get this cow out of here. The issue with that is that cows can walk upstairs, but they can't walk downstairs. Like the way that their knees are shaped, their bodies just won't allow it, like they would hurt themselves. So I think the teachers initially called the cops, was like, we gotta get this cow out of here. And then the cops were like, oh, we don't know what to do. They had to call the fire department. The fire department had to, they'll like airlift people out, like if they need to be out in a stretcher, but they can't get them down the stairs. They did that with the cow from the 3rd floor, and there was no class for the entire day because it took them all day to figure out how to get the cow out of the school.
So, yeah, you hear me?
Yes,
Good.
perfect.
I prepared a simple vegetable soup, and the more important thing is I want to dedicate my spot in this Hox dinner to my grandma because she died 1 month ago. So from pneumonia, we don't know because they don't test if it was COVID or she had pneumonia before. So I don't know. They didn't test her, but we could not even go to the hospital or to the grave. So only her children were allowed. So my mom went there. And why I dedicate her the story is because she is a farmer and she has a lot of cows, and she had a lot of cows. Now my uncle takes care of that. But yeah, I wanted to send over to wherever she is now some good vibrations from the living, more or less, and also to her cows. And yeah.
My name is Alexis, and I have a mini tiger with me who's all stripes and all green. This is my green, his eyes.
Alexis, did you bring a dish with you or going to eat with us?
I did. I have here, this is salmon, fish for tiger. And then I guess it's using the spices of ginger, turmeric. Oh, I think I forgot pepper here. And then broccoli also is part of the listed vegetables and other items for the.
Lovely.
So the female tiger, do you want to share your?
Yes, yeah.
Your...
I thought, so like you said, because the organ is lung. And what I thought was, I'll do something different. I'm a yoga teacher, yoga therapist. I thought I'll do a chant for health. So this is called Lagunyasa. This comes in the Taittiriya Brahmana. And it is asking all the elements to keep us healthy. So I'll just do the chant. It's about 3 minutes. Om Agnirme Vachishvrataha Vaghridaye Hridayam Mayi Aham Amrite Amritam Brahmani Vayurme Praneshvrataha Prano Hridaye Hridayam Mayi Aham Amrite Amritam Brahmani Suryo me Chakshushi Shrutaha Chakshur Hridaye Hridayam Mayi Aham Amrite Amritam Brahmani Chandrama me Manasi Shrutaha Manu Hridaye Hridayam Mayi Aham Amrite Amritam Brahmani Disho me Shrotre Shrutaha Shrotragum Hridaye Hridayam Mayi Aham Amrite Amritam Brahmani Apo me Retasi Shrutaha Deto Hridaye Hridayam Mayi Aham Amrite Amritam Brahmani Prithvi me Sharire Shruta Shariragum Hridaye Hridayam Mayi Aham Amrite Amritam Brahmani Oshadhi Vanaspatayo me Loma Sushrutaha Lomani Hridaye Hridayam Mayi. Carry the rabbit. See, I made pumpkin carrot soup.
Very good.
And then carrot salad. Wow. See the nuts?
Wow. Nice.
And some grapes. Got from my garden. Wow.
They got it from their garden.
This is my...
Go for it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the fact of the matter is, every magician is asked the same question. Regardless of how magnificent his show may be, how varied, whatever, every time I do a magic show, the first question or the last question I get asked is, can you pull a rabbit out of a hat? And it's interesting as to where that all comes from. The fact of the matter is, back in the late 18th century, a woman in England by the name of Mary Toft proclaimed that she could give birth to rabbits.
What? Whoa.
And she went around the country demonstrating her ability to give birth to rabbits. She would lie down on a bed, and after doing some incantations and things like that, rabbits would start to show up from underneath her skirt. And she became famous in England. In fact, King George's royal surgeon certified that she was actually giving birth to rabbits. There were all kinds of newspaper articles about her, a lot of drawings that artists made of her surrounded with rabbits while she was lying in bed. But eventually, she was put into prison for committing fraud. That's the first time the government has ever taken any action against a person who employed rabbits in their act. The second time that happened was in the year 2013, not that long ago, when the U.S. Department of Agriculture required that magicians who use rabbits in their act have to get a license. What they were doing was they were applying the law that was originally written for people who bred rabbits for food. They were applying that law to magicians. Last year, the Department of Agriculture came to its senses and it rescinded that rule. So the actual person who made pulling a rabbit out of a hat famous was a Swiss magician by the name of Louis Comte. He was the toast of Paris when he used to perform there. And what he would do was he would do his regular show, and then at the end of the show, he would look around in the audience for a member, a gentleman who was wearing a top hat. And he would borrow that top hat, and then he would proceed to pull all kinds of things out of that top hat, finally, at the end, producing a live rabbit. I don't see anybody here wearing a top hat. Well, the fact of the matter is, I happen to have a top hat over here, so I'm going to just pull that on stage, and who knows what we'll find. What you've been waiting for. A chocolate rabbit. Well, you know, you can't. What, wait. Ah, here it is. Here it is. Bugs Bunny. Well, you know, even though the law was rescinded, I'm a little reluctant to actually use real rabbits in my act. So but you have to wonder, how did all of this stuff
get in there?
How did all of this stuff get into the hat? I have no idea, but wait a minute. Oh, look who's here.
Oh my God.
This is Hershey.
Wow.
Hershey's a chocolate rabbit.
Oh,
Okay.
That's amazing.
I thought I'll do a chant for health. So this is called Lagunyasa. This comes in the Taittiriya Brahmana. And it is asking all the elements to keep us healthy. So I'll just do the chant. It's about 3 minutes. Om Agnirme Vachishvrataha Vaghridaye Hridayam Mayi Aham Amrite Amritam Brahmani Vayurme Pranishvrataha प्राणो हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि सूर्यो मे चक्षुषि श्रुतः चक्षुर्हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि चन्द्रमा मे मनसि श्रुतः मनो हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि दिशो मे श्रोत्रे श्रुताः श्रोत्रगुं हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि आपो मे रेतसि श्रुतः.
So we're actually going to eat together because we're all hungry. It's dinner time. But we start by taking a picture so you have a good shot, and then just introducing yourself. I'll tell you actually, because there's enough people here. So the way each one of us introduces ourselves is by saying your name, your place, and your sign, whatever animal you are, and then you show the dish. And then we can eat later. So it's mostly stories that are circulating, and whenever somebody shows the dish, all of us chant yum. And it's So we're all cooped up, we're locked up like a lot of animals are. And I want to thank all the animals in the room, all the animals that share this planet with us as food, as companions, as laboratory animals, and as everything in our ecology. So everybody take a drink, and we're going to start with the Year of the Rat.
Yeah.
Victoria.
You're the rat.